Hello everyone and welcome to the 7th episode of AI learning web series of IntellicoTalks powered by IntellicoWorks. IntellicoWorks is a DevOps consulting company that provides DevOps, SecOps and DataOps services along with the AI development services and managed cloud services. We are also the partner consultant for AWS, Azure and Google Cloud Platform services. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic that is related to the CI/CD practices and how artificial intelligence can be leveraged for this continuous integration and continuous deployment practices. How AI drives more efficiency in the code testing, deployment, release plan, and error prediction. But before going towards the episode, we are going to ask you one question, a very important one, that can you name one example where AI detect and mitigate potential issue in the software deployment process even before they impacted the users? So we are going to reveal the fascinating answer at the end of the episode. So let's start this episode with Shahzad Masud. Shahzad, I think this is the topic that is totally related to your domain, to your expertise, that we are talking about the CI/CD part today. So can you tell us the significance of AI in the CI/CD practices and how AI is making more efficient in terms of making it more reliable and faster than before?
Sure. Let me walk you through with the history actually for the deployment part. There is always a role called release manager. What the release manager's role is, like whenever the developer actually finish his or her job, the release manager job started, and that's late hours. A developer commits a code, there is an error in that. Another developer commits a code, there is error in that. Release manager pulling his hair. Okay, you crash the build, you crash things like that. You fix it. The guy actually yelling at all the developers, fix that, fix this, fix that.
Yeah,
and
that's
then he
quite
built the
common.
entire process. He actually built the code. Once he deployed the code, there is something else that is broken is over there. He actually roll back everything. And this all happening after hours of the regular hours of development. And when the regular hours of development actually passes, it's like more than a night time, and there are always this scene of like, we're not deploying it today, we are deploying it tomorrow. There is an error, there is a dependency check, someone actually screwed up, someone actually has made a mistake, the other team members made a mistake, the person who is actually sitting in the other office made a mistake. So there are tons of things actually happening over there.
And this creates a lag.
This creates a lag in the entire development life cycle. Whenever there is a deployment or release date actually is there, like more than 40% possibility is there that the release manager will say that, okay, we're not deploying it today because of these X many reasons. So X many reasons are very, very simple reasons. The code is not being deployed, someone actually screwed up, there is a dependency issue, the dependency is not installed in the production. The test cases which you created actually is not covering the entire scenario. The testing is failure. The release which you're going to make, this does not have the feature that we have announced previously. And any error that is happening, and they're not actually part of it. So this is a kind of, you can say that 20 to 30% of the normal release cycle, which is like 2 weeks of release time, 30% of the time actually is consumed in that one. So 30% of the time means that it's like more than 3 days of time actually being consumed.
That's huge.
So that's a very important part of the actual release process. How AI actually help in all this is that AI has a CI/CD part. CI is a continuous integration part. There are many tools available for CI part. What they actually do is they actually collaborate and combine all the code together. They actually build the code just like that. So whenever a developer commits the code, either that's a daytime or the end of the hour time or whenever that is, that tool automatically creates the code and compile that one.
So that thing you were saying, I would say that is the first part.
That's the first part. That's the first part where all the code is being compiled and then being added onto the main dependency.
And that's where AI is actually coming in.
This is exactly where the AI comes into the play.
In the CI part.
What AI does is AI actually collaborate that code, create new automated test cases from there and execute those test cases that if the code that is being combined is actually fulfilling the requirement of a release process or not. Will that be built? Or will that be an error? All the dependencies are there. All the dependencies are already done. Is this actually part of the main code review process or not? If this is part of the main code review process, then how to actually do that? Then we can actually set a quality gate as well in the AI process that sometimes people actually keep on adding features, keep on adding things that are not being executed. So that means the build is like 1 GB, 2 GB. In some cases, I have witnessed it myself that people actually gone past 40, 50 GB for build space as well, without knowing that we know these libraries or not.
Okay.
So this is the second or third part where AI is actually helping you. It's actually helping you with the optimization of the entire stuff. And then before the CI part, the continuous integration of build part, it runs all the test cases that are actually available there.
Okay.
So the release manager who's actually doing the entire stuff that first deploy it to a staging environment where all the test cases are there, and those test cases are being executed one by one, build, executed one by one. He's doing sanity testing based on his experience, black box, white box, smoke testing, shipment assurance testing, and finally all the testing is done, which takes like 3 days. In this continuous integration process, with the help of AI, you can actually perform that up to the build time.
Okay.
If build time is like 5 minutes, it will be just 5 minutes plus 5 minutes of testing.
So that is basically giving you a lot of efficiency.
Flexibility.
Yeah. Now coming towards the CD part, continuous deployment part. So how AI automate the continuous deployment process, and also tell us that what are the benefits for the consistency of the error-free deployment.
Okay, so let me walk you through with the release manager's role on that part. So what release manager normally does is it actually create a release on that. It creates an environment on that. It creates a configuration of that. It creates a simple set of test cases with that. It actually involves the entire team for 1 day or 2 days and says that, okay, the deployment is done. Now you actually start with the configuration verification. You start with the test casing. You start with that. So deployment is a very minor thing. In most of the cases, it's just like pushing to a Docker hub and then putting a straightforward image from there.
Okay.
So it's not very difficult, but in past it was a bit of a difficult one. So over here, what we actually, as an AI-oriented CI/CD guys, we actually do is we actually build the entire code and push it to Docker hub, push it to any other container repository, and from there on the deployment route, we actually push it. But what's difference is the configuration part, configuration of different environments. So if the different environments has different configurations, those configurations are fetched from a secure vault and being added on to the real time of that. And then we have already run the regression test. Now we can run the A/B testing as well as we can actually test the configuration management as well. So all 4 things actually combine together with the help of AI and automation, and we can actually successfully do a release deployment.
Okay, so as we have covered the part of CI/CD, now coming towards the part of release management. So when we talk about the efficient release management, how AI can help us or assist us in efficient release management plan, and can you differentiate between the major release plan and minor release plan?
Sure. If we actually go with the release manager, how release manager actually plans the entire stuff? He actually combines smaller chunks of the code, smaller features, fixes actually to combine together as a patch, as a small patch. So if you actually go for that, this is called a minor release.
Okay.
If we have a set of all the big features, new things, new UI, new everything is actually there, which is like a very significant one, that would be major release.
Okay.
So how release managers actually do that? They actually issue release notes as well, how to utilize the new functionality, how the things are there.
Yeah.
So with the help of AI, we can actually automate the entire scenario as well. When the release will be planned, all the minor fixes will remain over there as a branch management. All the minor fixes will keep on working on that one, and then there will be a major one. So AI will help you out with clubbing all of them together as one major release and then shifting it to the next one. So it will be just like all the other providers actually releasing one 15.1, 15.2, 15.3, and then suddenly even the entire thing is actually been clubbed together. They actually shifted on to the 16th.
16th,
and then 16.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it. So 15.1 is the minor release, 15.2 is the minor release, and then moving on to the 16th one, that's a major release. With a major release, you always have to issue a big release document that what is being changed over there, what big feature is there.
And the document has to be there for the major release.
Document is always there. The release management document is always there for the big ones. For the minor one, is always being a notification that this is being fixed. This one liner, this is fixed, this is fixed, this is. But with the major release, you always have a documentation that is available with it. And those documentation already are there. Another important factor which AI is actually helping that release manager usually used to do is that release manager actually define the criteria and pattern or the format of the release. So what I'm giving the example is about the 15.1, 15.2.
Yeah.
This 15.1 maybe is actually defined by the AI as well as a version control thing, as a version numbering thing.
Yeah.
So we can also define a 3D level one of them as well, like the major version, the minor version, and the fixed version.
Yeah,
and the date
I
and
think
time.
that is quite common that our audience must have seen that, we saw the numbers against a specific software release, that's 15.1
in different format.
in different formats. So I'm pretty sure that most of our audience can relate that thing.
Another important factor in the entire release process is the rollback.
Okay.
If anything goes wrong, the release manager has to take a very critical, I would say, executive kind of a decision that we have to roll back it or not. If this is working fine or not, if this is doing thing fine or not, all the test cases are working fine, everything is working fine, but still he actually made a decision that this needs to go down. It's based on a critical decision making. The decision making could be an automated test, decision making could be a version rollback, decision making could be anything, and that involves a lot of things like deployment, like database changes, like many things actually in there.
But that raises one question in my mind, that when we are talking about the AI in all this process, that what are the chances of rolling back when we have AI in place?
There are many things that don't happen while compilation. There are many things that don't happen there. They only happen when you actually deploy thing on production. Everything goes smooth, the build process is smooth, the testing is smooth, everything is there. When you actually go from one environment to another environment, this thing stop working. So if these things are stop working, what you can do is you can actually immediately roll back to the previous version.
Yeah.
So the current and modern infrastructure or deployment practice that we actually follow is Dockerization of the entire thing. If you actually do that, rollback is just like a one configuration change, and you actually execute that particular snapshot, and things will be rolled back.
Perfect. If we summarize this all episode, what are the key takeaways that we can go with the power of AI helping us in the CI/CD practices?
So CI/CD practice is all about a repetitive task. So repetitive tasks with accuracy that's is required over there. Most of the release managers are very, very experienced people who have like tens of hundreds of projects actually under their belt, and they actually are doing this role for many years. So this is where the computer can really help you out with 100% accuracy.
Can we say 100% accuracy?
We can say 100% accuracy, because if you configure things, if you automate things, if you actually do error prevention, if you actually configure the rollback in a lot more effective way, then you can do that. And for the release managers, the job is very secure. So why is secure is that you actually automate it once, and you can actually keep on monitoring it for many places. So if you are doing release management for one review cycle and spending 3 days in history, and now what you can do is you can actually configure it for one project and keep on monitoring the other projects. So one release manager can now actually take care of more than 10 projects at one time. So that's the key takeaway, that we should be actually thinking about more automation and the introduction of the AI in the entire spectrum.
Okay, thank you so much, Shahzad. And at the start, that we have asked one question to our audience, that how AI can help us detect and mitigate the issues in the software deployment process. So can you please give the example of that question?
Okay, let me give you an example of one of our clients, which is a very, very big client of Web3 gaming client, and everything goes well. CI process goes well, CD process goes well, error prevention goes well, everything goes well. But suddenly when we actually deploy the application inside the environment, that actually start utilizing a lot of compute resources. Okay. And that is one of the key test case that we have written over there. And based on that test key takeaway that we have test case that we have written over there, we actually roll back the entire release and inform the developer that there is some library or there is something that you have been utilizing that is consuming a lot of resources. Previously, it was consuming X cores, and now this is using Y cores. So you have to check which library you're using and how to prevent that. There is nothing wrong with the software. There is nothing wrong with the integration process. There is nothing wrong with the deployment process. There is nothing wrong with the integration process. But suddenly, the rise of the resources at the production, this is wrong. And this can be detected and prevented with the help of AI.
Okay, thank you so much, Shahzad, and I hope that answer gives you the complete elaboration that how we can mitigate the potential issues in the software deployment process. And thank you so much for staying with us in the 7th episode, and we are coming up with the 8th episode next week. Thank you so much, and stay tuned for the next one.